Okay. Welcome. So we only got 45 minutes to do this. C Rose was supposed to be with us. We wanted to do a quick show. I gotta leave out of here at 7 o'clock. It's 6:15 now. So we're gonna finally got her on the email, and we're gonna send her a link and see if we can get her on the show. Ask a couple of poignant questions. What it comes down to for me uh, is that the 1999 black people are just making things really worse and worse and worse. And the amount of complaining and stuff that's going on and it's disappointing, and it makes you see how non-black people are kind of really making some points about the black community that the black community doesn't want to admit about itself. Shout out to you, Inquisitive Prince. This is going to be a short 45-minute thing. Um, but it's a disappointing thing what's going on. I heard a popular YouTuber recently say that he realized that inviting everybody onto his platform did damage. How can you be over 30 and not know that? It's just a lot of stuff that the whole black community is really tripping nowadays, man. I just don't know what they think they're doing. There and even Africans too. I don't know what they think they're doing. Unfortunately, what it's looked like is that we're being perceived as people who can only have sex. That's really what it's coming down to. We're being perceived as people who can only have sex. We're being perceived as folks who can't create families, both male and female. That's why I don't understand the infighting. That's why I don't understand the whole fighting each other thing, because we're being perceived in such a terrible way. I look at a lot of these panels on YouTube. Folks can't have discussions without the anger, without the negativity. A lot of times people don't want other people to speak. And that's one of the reasons why uh, I got C Rose on today on her own show. I don't even think she gets the opportunity to really speak on her own show, because you get so much misinformation and so much uh, people trying to hog microphones that nobody gets to say anything. So I wanted to take some time out, really learn from how she views things, because like I said, I think it gets smothered. Um, so we shall see. Um, Still waiting for her though. Sent her the link like 3 times. So anyway, so let's discuss some other stuff real quick while we wait on her. Yeah, they think that shouting at the top of their lungs is debating. It's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing. You know, sex and entertainment, court jesters. Yeah, you know what? This is why I don't understand. Like this one popular YouTuber likes to say talented a lot. We need to get the talented blacks. I got people on my show that are talented. I'm like, but they just entertain. And entertain can be disruptive. Stephen Fetchit, for those people who don't know who Stephen Fetchit is, Stephen Fetchit was a college graduate black man who belittled himself for the white dollar. And he had millions of dollars during his day. Um, but the kids didn't get left with nothing. And, for all his demeaning stereotypes, He didn't do nothing but just live his life. I don't know, man. Somebody even said that about my father when he passed. He lived his life. Like, what does that mean? What does he lived his life mean? It's so ridiculous. So I'm getting more and more disappointed about what's going on with the black community. Um, just don't understand what the goal is, and I'm getting disappointed with the African community. The Chinese are over there telling them what to do. We saw a Chinese guy beating a Kenyan man, a Kenyan boy, for being late to work. Beating a Kenyan boy for being late to work. Asking a question and then interrupting the answer. Yeah, that is a weird thing, isn't it? Isn't that a weird thing? It's a weird thing to see when people do that. They ask the question and they interrupt at the same time. That is a weird thing. Well, it's even worse when you're on the panel and they ask the question, you say half of a sentence, and then they start giving you an answer. Or you're supposed to be on a debate. You're supposed to be on a on a debate, and they're asking you questions instead of giving their theory on what on what the topic is. Or they switch topics. They switch topics and start talking about something else that, and it's like, oh man, it's so terrible. Uh, it was sad his son didn't like him. His son, who I don't know. All right, so we've wasted about 22 minutes. We still waiting for Concrete Rose. She says she's heading upstairs, so we only gonna have this for about 30 minutes because I gotta leave at 7. Uh, I sacrificed some of my sleep to make sure I was on time at 6 o'clock. Uh, his name is Stefan. Stefan Fetchit. It's Phen. Stefan Fetchit. Um, but yeah, so all right, so still waiting for Concrete Rose. This is going to be some high speed questions because, like I said, we almost lost 30 minutes. Um, so anyway, while we wait for Concrete Rose, if there's any questions anybody like to ask in chat room, please do so. We waiting for her. Uh, anyway, so that's another thing, and like I said, it's a disappointing thing to see our community um, how they are. Uh, anyway, all right. So we finally got C Rose. C Rose, how do you doing? This is going to be high speed. We only got 30 minutes left.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
anyway,
my apologies. I'm good. I overslept. I never oversleep.
oh, it's because I asked. I understand what it is.
No, I had to get up for work anyways, but I have an internal clock, so I never even set an alarm, but I overslept this morning.
Okay, it's all good. So let's dig into this. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on because uh you're a 20% type of black woman. And I don't even think I get to hear your own mind on y'all own show. As we in the chat room was just discussing um uh the poison of black YouTube as it's gotten. I've been around since '07. I've seen it change.
Hmm.
Uh, and I don't think it's getting the kids anywhere. I think the
Right.
kids 2030 will be embarrassed by
Hmm.
some of these conversations. And lastly, before I start grilling you with questions, um, I look at it even on your own show. I control it on my show, so I don't have. We have some of the better conversations on our show because I
Yeah.
don't put poisonous people together with intellectuals. I just,
Yeah, and it's kind of a free for all on our show.
yeah,
Whomever wants to
yeah.
come up.
Poisonous people got to have their own lane,
Hmm.
and it's like because they got a narrative
I
and a
understand.
message that they're trying to push a lot of times
Hmm.
for profit. So let me run into these questions real quick. So first question, as it relates to for the guys, uh, no, better yet, because you're a woman. Let's stick into the woman question.
Okay.
In your assessment, why would black women create negative names for other black women who love black men? Like, pick me.
Um, in my assessment, I believe it is strictly because they feel as though you're going against the sisterhood, that we should, stand firm even in our or stand together even in our fight against black men. Um, they literally don't see black people as one. There's black women who, is and black women and black children, and that is essentially what the black community is. And then there's black men. And I think they feel like, you're going against the sisterhood by speaking out, by speaking up for black men, by defending black men. And that's a way just to kind of berate people who do women who do that.
Now, when I see white people put up marketing, that's what exactly what I see them do. I see
Hmm.
them put women with daughters,
Hmm.
so on and so forth. And this goes to my assumption that it's all massa created.
Oh yeah.
When when I go outside of America, it's less of that type of mentality. And because it's less of that type of mentality, the unity is a lot better. But let me ask you this question. So when black women, I don't know how I'm a big history buff. That's why I call myself Mr. Research. But when black women were not able to get office jobs and they had to be domestic workers,
Hmm.
do you believe black women of today realize that it was black men giving them work?
I know I don't. I don't think that black women feel as though the black man has aided them in any way. I never hear them recognize it.
So who do they think was helping them go from sweeping floors to factory work and office and all this type? Who do they think that just happened by magic?
No, the white man, massa.
Oh, so they think the white man was employing them.
Yeah.
Wow. I
I,
have
I've never heard black women acknowledge that black men had a hand in, doing anything that would be viewed as positive for them. Ever.
that is amazing. I'm gonna have to do a couple of more videos on that. Because it was the black man with the Putnam unions who created
Hmm.
the first national economics conference for black women.
Hmm.
It was black women with the Reed brothers, Reed Brooms, REED Brooms, who gave
Okay.
black women factory jobs and office work when the white man wanted them in the basement.
Mm.
I,
And that
I,
makes sense. I mean, I completely get it and I understand it. I was not aware of that. I'm, just being completely honest. But
oh, I got to do more videos then. I guess
yeah,
that's something I got to do.
look, I was aware. I think that you mentioned it on our show like a couple months back, and that was my first time hearing that. But prior to that, I had never heard that black men had a hand in ensuring that black women were employed in office jobs as opposed to in the basement and in factories.
Here's the sad thing. I think we as black guys, and growing up as a kid, I saw it too. Sometimes we would just naturally do stuff for women without
Hmm.
seeking acknowledgement.
Right.
And we would naturally do stuff to make sure just strange girls were not abused or what have you,
Hmm.
without saying, hey, look what I did.
Yeah.
But I've come to understand, I guess, in this brief conversation that we as black men, we got to always raise our hand to let y'all know that it was
Hmm.
us who
Hmm.
did that. When you look at BET, when you look at BET her, when you look at none of
Hmm.
those were black women created initially.
True. Very true.
Initially.
Hmm.
So it's like it's a weird thing. And this goes to our point as black men that it feels like we are attacked because
Mm.
nobody's really on the black woman's team like that. Let's take the white woman for example. Let me ask you this question: do they think the white woman's actually helping her?
Um, I
Not you personally,
do,
from what you've
yeah, I
heard.
do believe, right. I do believe that black women feel as though the white woman has aided them. I think that they feel as though feminism has aided them in, getting higher pay and being, moving ahead in the workforce. So I do believe that large percentage of black women do feel that the white woman has helped.
Okay, let's dig into that. How, when the white woman has limited her positions,
Hmm.
she's the most educated woman, but she's working under a white woman that's less educated, many
Hmm.
and now she has immigrants coming in, moving her out, and her daughter's out of position. How does she feel
Hmm.
the white woman's helping her?
I think that, they fell for the bait and switch with buying into feminism and feeling as though, women are at the bottom of the totem pole. I feel like black women have felt as though they're united with white women, but not united with black men. United in this fight for, equality with white women. And I think that that is a large part of, why we are here in this position in black communities, why we are, why there are low marriage rates, why there are, large percentages of children being born to single women. I think that a lot of the misfortune in our community is because of our own doing, and a lot of it is because we bit into the whole feminist idea.
Okay. Marriage rates in 2010 was at 42%. Now they're 80 something percent. How are the marriage rates low?
Marriage rates are at 80 something percent for black people.
Yeah.
When I recently read some information on black demographics. It gave like 29% for black women. Let me see if I can pull that up.
29%.
Hmm. And
Not for
this was like
not for
within a
black
week.
demographics. Mm-mm.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it for black women specifically.
Hmm.
Yeah, I still have
Now,
the
if
link.
you're talking about, there's always more females born than males.
Hmm.
So if you're talking about, and mind you, the way census is done, they
Hmm.
track it from 15 years old. So they use the old 1920s model.
Okay.
Most
Um,
most
Go
15-year
ahead.
olds are not married in 2020.
And I didn't know that, but I do think that I do know that it wasn't a recent study. I think the last study that was done, this might have been from 2010.
Hmm.
I'm trying to pull it up for some reason. Let's see. Mhm. Just looking for black women, but we can continue. I'll search while we're talking.
Okay, so yeah, I don't see that. It's a narrative that women kind of push,
Hmm.
but I don't really see it because they track it from 15 years old, and as we
Yeah.
all know, between 15 and 24, every human being is less likely to be married
Right.
in 2020. But they use that 1920s model when people were getting married at 15.
I didn't know that. I do know that there was information that says that black people as a whole get married later, are more likely to get married in their 30s as opposed to, their white or non-black counterparts. So I do remember that information being in the article.
Right. Now, let's talk about the about articles for a quick second. Uh,
Hmm.
but let's dig into Pew Research.
Hmm.
I know because I research for a living. Pew Research barely moves its numbers from 1998. They'll always try to promote the black man as doubling marrying out to black women. But in actuality, on that same graph,
Hmm.
it shows Latin women marry out the most, Latin men marry out the second most, and Asian women marry out the third.
Okay.
So why would Pew Research not highlight those situations? Why would they only look at the double rate for black men?
Well, I want to say that there's clearly an agenda. I think that I am very cautious of research, especially it's interesting that in the black manosphere you hear people throw out all types of numbers as it relates to research, and generally it's in general conversation. They're not pulling the information up on their screen, and while discussing these various topics, a lot of times we don't have time to go check out the research. So I just went on Black Demographics one day and was just searching and looking up and, searching links to other sites. But I think that clearly Pew Research has an agenda. But I did find the article in Black Demographics. It's titled Black Marriage in America. And it says, as recent as 2016, only 29% of African Americans were married compared to 48% of all other Americans.
Oh, okay. Okay. I can see that. If you're saying that, I thought you said women only.
And I can't find, generally it was broken down by men and women, and that was like the first part of the article, so I haven't
Yeah.
searched anymore because I know I
No,
wasn't going to
I
get
can
too combo.
concede that it would be around 30% or one third of total population. Because
Right,
again,
right.
they're tracking it at 15, number
Okay.
one.
And that's
And then
interesting. I know
and
that.
then secondly, well, that's how it's always been.
Hmm.
And uh a lot of people are sex first type of people. Uh,
Hmm.
I gotta ask this question because
Hmm.
did you know the manosphere started when Angry Man watched a alpha male wisdom video?
No, I did not know how the Manosphere started. I
Okay,
know the big three and that they got together and kind of formed
what
it, but I didn't
which
know.
big three?
O'Shea, Angry Man, and Obsidian.
Oh no, no, that's a lie. That's a lie.
Okay, well, from their interview on Ren's channel, that's kind of what they were saying. Each of them had like a different part in it, and I think O'Shea came up with the name, Angry Man came up with the concept, and I forgot Obsidian's what he contributed.
He wasn't even around. He was still working for Tommy.
Oh.
What's disappointing
Hmm.
about people who lie.
Hmm.
Uh, it damages everybody. So I'm going to do a show with Angry Man. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm going to reach out to him and do a show because he is the wrench in all of this. What
Mm.
had happened was me, Mr. Research. I used to have a show, and Angry Man will verify this too. I used
Hmm.
to have a show called Alpha Male Wisdom. It had 42,000 subscribers
Oh.
before uh, the people at YouTube terminated the channel for me sitting in a convertible car with a cigar, and they classified
Ah.
that as nudity. So
Wow.
it was the sixth time that they destroyed one of my channels, and I just got tired of building them up.
Hmm.
Okay, because I had 30,000, 22,000. It just got tiring. So when I did this video, I said, what if Angry Man and Minister Jap is really the third member that you're talking
Mm.
about.
Mm.
What if Angry Man and Minister Jap start working together? And Angry Man made a video. Hey, I was watching that Alpha Male Wisdom video, and I thought to myself, man, that's a great concept. And I
Mhm.
came up with the term the manosphere. So Angry
Mm,
Man is the one who originated all this stuff.
okay.
He reached out to Minister Japp, who was second, not O'Shea.
Mm-hmm.
He reached out to a guy called who he was cool with called Hardcore Tito.
Mm-hmm.
He was third. O'Shea was fourth.
Oh.
And then they went and got Ringo because I didn't want to be involved. They went and got
Mm-hmm.
Ringo Raw TV. So that was the Manosphere, and Angry Man is the creator. Obsidian was still writing for Tommy Sotomayor at the time. He was
Okay.
unknown. But and mind you, I'm not trying to put people on blast, but
Mm-hmm.
for people to lie like that is amazing to me. And it shows
What
that
would be their motivate? What would be Angry Man's motivation to say the big three is himself, Obsidian, and O'Shea? Because they were doing, during the interview that Ren did, they all, admittedly came together. I think he said O'Shea originally came up with the name Negro Manosphere, and that's where Black Manosphere derived from. He gave him that credit. And what would be the motivation for them all to say that they had the hand and come together and saying that they all three had the hand in creating the manosphere?
I believe that something must have been said out of context to say that later on, when Obsidian
Mm-hmm.
popped his head up, that he rejuvenized because at the point in time where Angry Man and O'Shea were fighting each other,
Mm-hmm.
then Obsidian came around, and
I
maybe
see.
through that action, he gave some legs to the Manosphere. But
Mm-hmm.
before O'Shea and Angry Man were fighting, like literally, I had to counsel one of the guys because it got that bad,
Yeah, I heard that they, that it was real
you know.
ugly between them.
And so, and it was all over. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so my point is, if Angry Man said that, I would love to clarify that with him because there was no
Mm-hmm.
Obsidian at the time. But
Okay.
nevertheless, that's neither here nor there. Um, let's dig into this because I'm trying to maximize time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dig into this other thing. What I think the Manosphere originally was supposed to be with Angry Man's concept
Mm-hmm.
was it was supposed to because I think people don't want to acknowledge, and again, I've been around since '07, how much women were being anti-black male on this space before
Mm.
dudes even spoke up.
Okay.
If you saw evidence, I can't provide it because you had to kind of live that YouTube experience. But
Mm-hmm.
if you were to know that women were just constantly attacking dudes for years and they wasn't even saying anything, what would be your thought in that hypothetical?
Um, well, I do want to say I certainly was not aware. I've been on YouTube for probably 5 or 6 years. However, I was not in the Black manosphere. I was, watching makeup tutorials and, different things like that, listening to music. I had not found my way into the Black manosphere until about maybe 2 years ago.
Hmm.
I certainly don't even question, what you're alleging. Can easily see it happening. We see it happening in the media. Um, if that were the case, I feel like men had every right to, speak out and speak out for themselves and speak up for themselves. I, don't see anything wrong with that. They had the right to defend themselves and to, kind of create this nucleus where men came together for that reason as well as for in sort of a healing sense too, to kind of vent and talk about their frustration. So I think that it was um, an appropriate response to what was happening.
I think it really is damaging because uh, the image of the black man constantly being berated by
Mhm.
people that look like him
Mhm.
instead of just going and being happy.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons I asked the question about why attack black women who are choosing to, because the whole point of the sisterhood they say is to be happy and do your
Mhm.
best. And this is why I say, for me personally, I feel like it's the plantation mentality. Because why would I attack C Rose because she's happy?
Right.
Why?
Um,
Go ahead.
no, I think that's a fair question. I do notice, and that is one thing that is pretty disheartening to me. I noticed that most men in this space just lump all black women in, like whether you're of the 20% or not, whether you're here defending black men, standing up for black men, in support of black men or not. If unless you're Kendra D, you're one of those black women. And it's disheartening, and at times it's kind of like, what am I doing this for? But I think about the black men in my family, and I feel like, my purpose for doing this is bigger than YouTube. So I, will continue to press forward. But it kind of gets to you to know that no matter what you do, you're still going to be, scrutinized, doubted. You're here trying to infiltrate. You're, here with on some false pretense. Like,
It's
I
like a
feel,
person doesn't want to be intellectual.
yeah. Hmm.
Would you agree to that?
I agree wholeheartedly.
Because sometimes I feel like I really want to pay to get these people on a college stage
Hmm.
and have some college people look at them and judge their discussions.
That would be pretty interesting.
Right, because and then have the college people who are trying to get their masters and all this really dissect who was outlandish, who had no just because it's so funny how in our community people come to
Hmm.
hide their hate.
Hmm.
And hold on for a minute. I got to give a shout out. Shout
Okay.
out to B. B says, I remember when Obsidian wrote for Tommy's Raggedy website. So thank you for acknowledging that I wasn't lying. And Supremo gave one out too. Oh, well, B also said Obsidian always exaggerates his position in life. Uh, and Supremo said, oh man used to mention that he wrote for Tommy on his website. Exactly.
Okay.
So I
I
just want
heard
to
him say he wrote for this white website that I can't think of the name of it. Oh my gosh, it escapes me. But he constantly talks about this white website that he wrote for, and that he a voice for men. That's the only place that I've heard him mention. But I don't listen to him regularly even. So
but hey, he wrote for Tommy Sotomayor, so
okay.
that's where we found him at, or really O'Shea found him. And
Ah.
what was so unfortunate is that some of the people on O'Shea show gave birth to what is the poison of Black YouTube, in my opinion. Yeah, but
Mm.
that's neither here nor there. Because I've never been a super arrogant person, even when I had 42 uh, thousand subscribers. O'Shea only had 2,000 at that time.
Hmm.
And so O'Shea wasn't big, BGS wasn't big, none of them was really big. Uh,
BGS wasn't big at that point either.
oh no, 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 not at all. BGS came over because MGTOW ran all of the black people out, and
Okay.
that's when they created it more. But they never developed it more. What's unfortunate about a lot of these guys, they run from group to group to group to group to group. Like I've
Hmm.
watched maybe 10 years of new group creations,
Hmm.
new reasons, and then I had to point out to the MGTOW dudes, don't y'all see how these white folks are speaking anti-black now? And
Hmm.
y'all not doing nothing about it? Where? I don't see it. Where? And then you show them, they be like, oh well, he's not really MGTOW. I'm like, are y'all serious? Oh wow.
I do think that it's unfortunate though that black men in this space can't come together because something great could be achieved from
Everybody's
this.
not a
You see
warrior.
what they're doing, but you like they're capitalizing on, you know, white YouTube male spaces. They are having, you know, these different conventions and different things of that nature that can really be, you know, financially feasible for the men in this space.
I'm gonna say it, C Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Every dude does not produce;
Mm.
they maintain.
Yeah. Okay.
And uh, even as a black manager, I'm a manager,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in a female space because they make
Mm-hmm.
more money, and I have 5 certifications. I force myself to advance. A lot
Yeah.
of these dudes want to do service work.
Mm.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? They want to
Mm-hmm.
get a trade. When a trade is a death sentence, you if you get a trade as a plumber, that does not mean you're going to be employed. There's a lot of homeless plumbers,
Mm.
and you still have to go to a family institution, which is normally white, Latin, or
Yep. Yep.
and you have to. Well, you just start your own business. Yeah, you say that, but you don't even know how to be a manager.
Mm-hmm.
How can you start? And this is why black women are killing them at this type of stuff, is
Yeah.
because they believe, let me do just enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you start losing. Like everybody's like, well, Q, how are you still going to work? Because I
Mm-hmm.
got a letter from the police department that allows me to go to work. Well, how do you get that? Because I picked the position that's powerful. I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't pick positions that I just coexist.
Right.
You're supposed to be a mental warrior. And when I look at YouTube and you're talking about the manosphere,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the cats don't even have jobs. So let me
Okay. Well,
ask
I
you that
wasn't
question.
aware of that.
No,
I,
no, seriously. 'Cause I'm not gonna call
mm-hmm.
names. I've said a couple, but I'm not gonna,
Mm-hmm.
But how is it? Have you ever like look? I'm gonna start off. I'll tell you what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I work in medical finance. I process all of your claims, your bills. I do the coding. I do all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got certs that allow me to do any function from the front desk all the way to the back. And I
Yeah.
purposely got certifications in all of those areas. So
Mm-hmm.
even when I'm 70 and 80, nobody can stop me from making money.
Right.
When you talk to most black dudes, they hide on YouTube. And I
Mm-hmm.
challenge you. Ask some of these dudes what they do. Most of these dudes don't work. You got one dude very popular, he drives Uber. You got another dude who's very popular. He's been going to school for like 8, 9 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Got another person, they're retired, but they get some type of government check.
Mm-hmm.
And you got another dude that's a tattoo artist.
Okay.
That's that's the strength of the
Yeah.
manosphere. I think I
Well,
think I think
when you
Kevin's
say it
probably
like
the only
that,
one with a legit job.
when you say it like that, um, they that means that, you know, they would have that they strongly rely on funds from YouTube to feed
Exactly.
themselves.
So
So
they're
they
willing
need
to
to keep
say
up
any and
drama.
everything to keep that
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Right. And that makes sense. I, I I didn't think about it that way. I work in a similar field. I'm a corporate trainer for a TPA for
Okay.
we yeah, so we do liability insurance. So yeah, and I have a ton of designations too, just because I like learning. I like, you know, keep, you know, fresh ideas. So I'm like the designation queen. I'm always going for different designations. But yeah.
And that's what the black man should be doing.
Hmm.
But he is doing this thing where he's like, well, I'm going to go into tech. Okay. Name one tech person you know that has a long 5 year, 7 year, 8 year job. Oh, the
Hmm.
industry don't work like that. I mean, do you even hear what you're saying? You're a
Right.
glorified temp, and you're going to get at an age. You're going to get at an age where you're not going to be hireable.
Yeah.
Now, shout out to Mike V. Mike
Hmm.
V is in a industry, security,
Mhm.
cybersecurity, that's brand new, and he's got in somewhere. Okay.
Okay.
But that doesn't happen normally with tech people. Tech people, where are the people who used to work at IBM?
Good question.
Where are the people who used to work at Hewlett Packard? I used to work at Hewlett
Mm,
Packard in Alpharetta. Where's that?
mm,
All these
interesting.
cats are now your repair shops, and they can't get work. So it's
Mhm.
like I even had a boss when I was working at an AI location when I first moved back to Cali. 24, he was killing the game. By 30, 32, he couldn't really find a job. By
Mm.
36, he ended up moving him and his wife and his daughter to his wife's mother's house.
Aren't there a ton of tech jobs in Silicon Valley?
Not true.
No.
No. There's a bunch of temp jobs. So
Mm,
the way they disguise it, they call it consulting, and
hmm.
they call it contract work.
Oh yeah, independent contractors, huh?
Right. So what they'll
Mm,
do is they'll have let's say you create a app called Dancing Kangaroo,
hmm.
and you put it out there, and it starts getting all this free ad dollars. Well, you got to put some marketing in there to try to keep your stuff paid, right?
Hmm.
So you're getting all these dollars. Now somebody else creates Dancing Zoo, and it happens to have a dancing kangaroo in it, and monkeys and everything else. Now popularity, you got to remember, most tech is entertainment.
Right.
It ain't really solving nothing. And you sit up here, and now your dancing kangaroo is obsolete. Well, everybody you hire can no longer expect to get that 120 grand. They
Hmm.
might have only got 30,000. They might have only got
Yeah.
60,000. Now you're
Mm,
letting it go. There's so much turnover in tech, and then they're constantly trying to get immigrants in to do something for cheaper,
hmm.
that there's really not jobs. There's temp jobs. Like, you come in, you work on a piece or whatever, they feel like they don't need you, you're gone. You go to
Hmm.
another job. So I've known people to work anywhere between 4 to 6 jobs in 3 years,
Wow.
just to
Wow.
get just to get that 120, 200.
Mm,
But you're really not getting that money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're getting a bag, but that
right.
doesn't mean you're going to be good in year 5, in year 7.
Mm. I didn't think about that, and I'd never heard it from that standpoint. That's one of the fields that's constantly pushed, and people are encouraged to go into tech.
Yeah, and I always say, to do what? Because when you look at the older tech people, they're not employed. And the first thing tech people will tell me, younger people mostly, they'll be like, "Oh, well, you got to stay up on the oldest software." You think a person who's already advanced,
Mhm.
who has nothing but time, ain't gonna read up on a new software?
Right.
You got to understand, human resources is less likely to hire that older person because
Mm.
of medical dollars.
Absolutely.
See,
Absolutely.
you say that absolutely. Explain to the people why you said absolutely.
Because I've seen that happen. I've seen very qualified people who, are, kind of up in age, and, they have the same struggle, that have, a wealth of experience and knowledge, and they are having it, they're not hireable.
In actuality, they are hireable. They just don't
Well,
hire
yeah, they're kind of locked out in a sense.
them. And what's so unfortunate is you get a lot of people in who are older in tears
Hmm.
for getting aged out. And and I always say to white folks, you guys created that dynamic. So
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
like when y'all was younger, you were blocking out people.
Yeah, but you know what? Too, the older an employee is, generally the more experience they have, and the more valuable or the more they're worth. So they don't want to pay someone six figures when they can get someone new fresh out of college and give them $40,000.
Well, to be honest, on the management level, it's not even about paying them. It's not, because a lot of times
Yeah,
these older individuals are not even asking for it.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they're not even asking for
Hmm.
upgraded pay.
Hmm.
It's probably what, 5% of people who actually ask, maybe eight. Most
They're
most
just
most
more
people,
expensive as an employee because
because
of.
of the assumed cost
Mhm.
narrative quarterly. Ever since we start getting these, that's my I got to get ready for work thing.
Oh, okay.
Uh, ever since we got these people who I call graduated from DeVry and Phoenix,
Hmm.
they come around and they look at things quarterly. They don't look at annuals. So even though the numbers don't really change, it makes them look better to say, look at what I did this quarter.
Okay.
I got C rows, I got blah blah blah. I got rid of C rows and I saved us $10,000. Well, if you had a kept C rows, it would have equaled out to the end of the year anyway, and it really wouldn't have made no difference.
Hmm. But it's
But
about cost savings, essentially.
right, per quarter, per
Hmm.
quarter. Because if you looked at it annually, it wouldn't make a difference. And then you would look at this person like, what's their value? Why
Hmm.
do we pay HR what we pay them? So that's when HR start coming up with things like word counting your resume and all that type of stuff to try
Hmm.
to say, look at what we've done. You guys are, you know, that's that. Anyway, let me get back to this because you're a guest.
Hmm.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Guys, let's go back to the pick me thing.
Hmm.
We guys are constantly trying to say to women, you guys are the attacker. Not all of you, I know. That's why I call it 80%. But
Hmm.
women attack. So we discuss pick me. Why call another woman a mammy? That's another Ku Klux Klan word. Why use Ku Klux
Hmm.
Klan terms against your fellow sisters if go and be happy? What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think that you're pushing a supremacist agenda. I've heard the words used in tandem, like, first of all, it shows the ignorance of the people using them. But I've heard pick me and mammy used synonymously almost when referring to women who are, defending and supporting Black men. And it just, like I said, it shows
Now, how
their
do you feel
ignorance.
about this? Black man didn't invent that term, and the white people didn't invent that term.
Who invented it?
Black women.
Really?
Black, you never heard a black man say what reason would a black man come and say C Rose is a mammy because she's defending my fellow brother.
I thought mammy came from white men. Now pick me, I can see, but I thought mammy
Oh
came
no,
from white
mammy
men.
is a Ku Klux Klan term. So
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
it did come from white men. Yeah.
But they've kind of tried to define it in a different way by using it against other Black women.
Right. That's why I'm like,
Okay.
I guess the thing that Roger Report tries to say
Hmm.
is that there's all these examples of women willing to attack other women
Hmm.
just to be racist against black men. And you got a bunch of women,
Hmm.
not like the 20% that you and Sister George probably fall into, but you
Hmm.
got a bunch of women who appear, you know what, I'm willing to damage this whole community, women included, just to get what I want, which is the destruction of the image of black dudes.
Hmm.
Why? Why can't you just go be happy?
Yeah, I think it comes from a deep seated hate and disdain. I think that Black women know how powerful Black men are, and we we can't physically come against you, so we try to tear Black men down with our words. We don't want Black men working to the best of their ability. We don't want them, working at their highest peak, because they would dominate. There are forces to be reckoned with, and we don't realize that we are, operating on a white supremacist agenda, and we don't understand that this programming came from the white man. But all that we're doing is aiding them because we're trying to stop Black men from operating at their highest peak.
And with that said, let's go into the job force.
Mm-hmm.
I recently made a video, 26 years of watching Black women try to block Black men.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I've been at hospitals that needed people, sisters trying to block them. Mm-hmm. I've been in departments that needed people, sisters try to block them.
Mm-hmm.
White person comes in with little to no skill, sister opens up the floodgates.
Yeah.
I don't know what you saw, but as a Black man and a Black man with some power, I would risk my jobs many a times to try to bring to the attention, what are we doing?
Yeah. I've seen that, and I still see it to this day. My fiance has experienced it. What it is a Black.
But they say it's not happening.
Oh yeah, I know they do. A Black woman does not if you bring a strong thinking Black man in here, number one, you're not going to be able to control him, i.e. he's not going to, fetch when you say fetch. And I think that's the real, that's intimidating for Black women. You'll see them hiring, and I have nothing against, gay Black males, but you'll see them hiring like gay Black males or really young Black men who they think they can control. And that's still a small margin, but they are not going to hire a mature, thinking, confident Black man. It's rare that you'll see a Black woman do that. And that is because they've been programmed.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate thing. But this is why I say, women got to see the stuff they create. I just think that there's some level of not seeing self. Now, I can go on about the dudes all day long, but I think a lot of these dudes were not raised around warriors. Mm-hmm. A lot of these dudes were not raised around guys who enjoy outthinking the white man and outthinking the Chinese man. Mm-hmm. I grew up around people who enjoyed going into their sectors and get money out of their pockets. Mm-hmm. I just look at a lot of Black guys who just want to maintain. Let me ask you this question. We're going into the dating section. I'm going to try to stretch my time. We're going into the dating section. I got property. I got legacy. I can't just accept any type of Black woman. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why Black women don't look at value first.
Right.
Explain.
I think that's a fair question. I think that I'm trying to find a proper way to say this, that, we're thinking with our sexual organs. I think that we literally follow our pheromones, and we are literally like, okay, if this person turns me on, then this is who I want to be with, as opposed to, vetting the person, as opposed to finding out if this person is a man of good character, if he's strong, if he has leadership qualities, if he's hardworking. We ignore all of those things and we follow our sexual organs, and if we look at if he's desirable or not.
I've literally seen on YouTube Black women be pimped and used by white dudes. Mm. And it's funny, this one lady, she spent like a year, 2 years just trashing Black men. Mm-hmm. And after the white guy finished, he would sexualize her like all outdoors. She would dress half naked, trying on clothes for him to get his approval, and
Hmm.
leaning into him sexually. And then one day, this dude decided to do, and I call it the remarry thing, because when you look on census, white guys remarry more than anybody in the USA.
Yeah. Hmm.
And this this guy just, at the height of their relationship, she got a page dedicated to him and her. He just left and
Hmm.
went back to a white woman. And the first thing he did was his new white girl tease on how he would just sexually do what he wanted to with her.
Wow.
And then her next video, she took all him off the channel. She
Hmm.
changed the channel name, and she just kind of held her head down, like she disappeared for like 3 months.
Oh.
But I'm
Um.
like, why
Mhm.
put yourself in that position? And the same thing with a black dude.
Mhm.
You sit up here, get with this girl. One of the guys that I spoke with months ago, and I would always tell people, a lot of these European women used to sleep with animals. I know it sounds bad, but in
Mhm.
their country, some of them, that's a normal for them. One dude contacted me like a year ago, talking about, man, Q, my girl used to sleep with a dog.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
seriously, seriously. He found out the white girl he was into had slept with a dog when she was in her 20s, and she
That's
was like,
insane.
she was like from Belgium or something.
Mm.
But that goes to the point when I come on y'all show, when I say sometimes these people do no vetting.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. 100%.
Go ahead and
Uh,
share. I want to share the mic with you. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I think that first off, for most non-white people to be with someone white, you're doing something right. I don't think that um, it's hard for me as a black woman to imagine that other black women are thinking with their sexual organs when they decide to get with a white man. I don't think that it's they're turned on by him. I think that it is a sign of status in many communities. I
True.
think that they feel like they've made it to be able to be with someone white, even if it's someone that's, considered poor white trash. I don't believe that it is that we're so, enamored by them and we just can't resist. I think it's literally, to elevate themselves.
You
And I
know,
think that that's for both men and women. Now, men, there may be a sexual component to it, but as a woman, I can't imagine that that's um, our reasoning.
I wanted to answer this question from BMT in the room. Why none of the black creators show that they have a functional family?
Mm.
Because I think it goes to what C Rose said earlier. A lot of people are from the sex first mentality, and
Mm.
that's it. That's all they think. It's like you could tell people who are not used to getting sex or getting good sex, they stress it all the time.
Mm.
And like, I have two friends that are porn stars, and sometimes I go to the porn set. This is like once every 4 months, 6 months. It's
Mm.
not nothing I really do a lot, but it's so interesting watching how stuff really works
Mm.
and the mentality of the people. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who are skits. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
Their cheese has slid off their cracker. Uh,
Their cheese has lit off their cracker.
yeah, they
Okay.
they're a little off. Um, but to each their own. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think that what happens is, when the realization comes that you have to go back to the real world,
Hmm.
I think that's where the disconnect is. Because, like, I told one porn star, I said, why don't you just go get with somebody and go be a swinger? You like sex, but why do you have to put your face on film?
Right.
Because ultimately you have to go back to the real world.
Yeah. At some point, you're gonna age out.
Yeah.
That's a good question. What was her response?
she started it just didn't make no sense.
Mm.
And what I try not to do is create too much vibe because I'm a guest,
Oh, right, right, right. Okay.
but she just started jibber jabbering. I was like, okay, I get you. I hear you. But that goes back to another question. I'm gonna have to wrap up.
Okay.
A couple of more questions. Uh, oh, Naima Buckner says, I believe when black women are with white men, it's about resources. Yeah, but resources how? Because what I see, Naima, is temporary. Because when he finally leaves, most of them don't even get a bag.
Mm.
They had fun time while they were together.
That's a
And
good
I
point.
think and I think at his expense. See, white guys get jobs easy. White guy don't have to be qualified.
That's that. Listen, that's very true. But you know the thing that I find is that I'm seeing a lot of sisters get with black white men who don't have anything. Especially like when you look at like influencers, there are a ton of black influencers that are with men who come to the table with nothing and they elevate their men.
Less than what the black man has.
Yes.
It's amazing. I said that about Crystalline Carrison.
Hmm.
Crystalline Carrison, when she got with her white guy, he had less than the black guy that she fell out with. The black guy came from a good family, but he was not a developed person at the time they hooked up and had that baby.
Hmm.
So what she ended up doing was finding a busted black guy, I mean white guy, and this is words out of her own mouth, and build him
Hmm.
up for 3 years. She bankrolled that dude for 3 years
Wow.
until he got to a point that now he makes what he makes, and they live in a gated community, and she don't
Hmm.
have to work.
Wow.
But you did the same thing. So this is what's amazing to me is that or the other black woman who on YouTube, she was getting caked by a guy. I just watched her video. Her name is Me.
Mhm.
She was getting caked by a white guy for years. He would come to visit, they would take trips, and going to you and Naima's point, as long as she was getting those trips, she was good. Turned to
Mhm.
find out she was a weekend chick because he was married the whole time.
Okay. I didn't know that. And yeah, I mean, I don't understand what would be the. I guess there's a short term benefit to it.
Oh yeah, you get to shine in
Hmm.
front of other women, the sisterhood. Look what
Yeah,
I'm doing. Look where I'm going. Look what I got. But everybody turns 50 at some point in time.
and when you do that, you're selling yourself for cheap. I just don't. I
Well, not
maybe.
even that. I you you are poisoning your spirit because when you get
Mhm.
older and those options are no more, now all of a sudden you want to be a serious person.
Yeah.
And now you're wondering where all the men are, including the white men. And
Mm.
now you, and it's like, what?
Good point.
It's an investment. I have to be able to invest in you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if I come to you and you live in sloppy, you unkept, why would I want to, why would the best guy want to entertain that?
I agree.
So, that's the thing. Let me ask this question, and I gotta wrap up. So this is all you. So I need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
2020,
Mm-hmm.
the way you hear some women talking these days. Why would a guy want to get married? Why not just go adopt a kid and call it a wrap?
Well, in my opinion, I agree that some of the language that I hear women use, some of the things that I hear women say, it would be a completely turn off to any man. In my opinion, though, the reason that a man would would want to get married is when he finds someone that is outside of that, someone who has not been indoctrinated, someone who is completely different from the current status quo that we see. That's like a diamond in the rough, and you better snatch her up, because if you don't, someone else will.
Now, diamond in the rough, I can agree with. Let me ask you one more.
Mhm.
Uh, I know, according to the census, white husbands was at 12% in 98. It dropped to 10% in 2010.
Mm.
It dropped to 8% in 2015. And now, allegedly, from what I'm hearing, it's dropping to 3%.
Wow.
Even though people are saying the interracial thing is happening, my question is, why do we not
Hmm.
see an increase in white husbands like we do
Hmm.
white daters?
Uh, I think that that is a good question, and it's also a fair assessment, and I agree with it. Um, I don't know. Marriage is down for everyone. I don't know if people no longer believe in the institution of marriage. I'm seeing states do things that are drastic, like, you no longer have to file for marriage license. There are state. I think that. The government even sees that, there's something going on with the marriage rates, and they're even trying to employ different tactics to attract people to marriage. But I just don't know if people no longer believe in the institution of marriage. I'm also seeing more and more people moving away from religion. So that could also be a part of it. I don't know the answer to that, though.
Well, let me give you a little thing. When Ronald Reagan gave single women the tax break that was supposed to be allotted for marriage,
Hmm.
that started destroying it.
Mm.
It's a simple fix. A family is a married family.
Hmm.
And if you want that particular tax break, you should be married because
Hmm.
it's a marriage tax break.
Right.
If you took that marriage tax break away that Ronald Reagan created for no reason but to break up families, everything would
That's a
go
good point.
back to everything would go back to where it used to be, because then the person would have to pay an individual rate because they're an individual person.
Mm.
And then also the person would be more cognizant of who they get pregnant by, because you got to pay that rate.
Yeah.
We didn't have
Yeah.
all this stuff prior to Reagan. Reagan really crippled a bunch of stuff. What are your last thoughts? What any questions you may have before we get out of here?
Um, I just want to say that I do think that if there weren't as many resources for single mothers, that we wouldn't see so many children being born to single mothers.
Oh,
However,
absolutely.
the abortion rates may go up, which is not a form of birth control, and women seem to think that it is, and they're utilizing it as such. I know that there are tons of groups that are upset because abortion isn't seen as essential during this coronavirus. So women aren't able to get abortions, and it's kind of like,
Well, well, let's ask this question: are you able to pay the $800 or $1,500 it costs? Yes, we are.
mhm.
It's not whether people are able to get abortions; it's are they able to get free abortions through the government?
Okay. To my understanding, I thought that they were not doing abortions, period, because it's not seen as, in certain states, an essential medical need, like,
No, 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 no,
certain
no.
elective surgeries.
You can always pay for abortion. I work in medical 26 years.
Hmm.
I was a legal analyst for several states recently. You can pay for any cosmetic you want. Period. You can pay for them to chop ounce of fat or a pound of fat off the side of your back.
Well, you do know some states have shut down like surgery clinics because they're not seen as essential too.
Well, you can't shut down a surgery clinic. It has to
Okay.
be a government funded surgery clinic.
So I'm seeing women who worked previously in, like, different clinics that do plastic surgeries and elective surgeries, and they're
Uh-huh.
saying they're out of work because their job is considered or deemed non-essential.
That's not true. It's not even possible because you have something called self-pay.
What is that?
Self-pay means that you pay out of your pocket for whatever you want.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. I don't know. I have to find the information. It's actually one specific group that I'm in that a lot of women were talking about how they've been affected by it. I know what it is, so I'll go back and see what
Please
states it's
do,
in.
because I used to work for a plastic surgeon in Atlanta. I
Mhm.
know that's not true. I work for dermatology now. I know that's not true. So you can go pay for any surgery
Mhm.
that you wish. The only reason you would need pre-approval is if you're in a medical insurance. So when you
Right.
go look this up, I really believe it has to
Mhm.
do with either they want it to go through their medical insurance,
Mhm.
or the people who working have to are directly enlisted by a hospital that gets Medicaid or Medicare as their funding.
Mm. Okay.
And
That's
if
very
you get
possible.
Medicare, Medicaid as your funding, you can't. But
Right.
I can pay.
Right.
I can go to Louisiana tomorrow and
Mhm.
pay for a $1,500 abortion.
Right. Right. Right.
I
Okay.
mean, it's nothing. So I guess that's the other thing is sometimes I feel like it's a never-ending war with women
Mhm.
because they create these scenarios as if I'm a victim, but I'm independent at the same time.
Mm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so confusing. What are your
Oh
thoughts?
yeah. I agree 100%. I see that on a daily basis. Women pushing the whole, I'm independent, I'm woman, hear me roar. However, they still want to be protected. They still want preferential treatment. They still want, they still subscribe to these double standards that would see the woman as, a victim and as demure and as, like, it's very confusing, you know. I see it
Let me
every
end,
day, and I don't know why that is.
let me end this note on saying something about the brothers. This is not C.
Mhm.
Rose saying that this Mr. Research. The brothers have become too whiny, too complaining. They got a lot of stuff dudes can go take over. A lot of stuff dudes can go take over. But what's really concerning about the brothers is your own sons are looking at you in disappointment. And let's just take the women out of it. When you're not leaving your sons nothing, I was talking to a popular young YouTuber, and we were talking about man of means. What do you think that term man of means is, C Rose?
A man with money, basically.
These two brothers said that it was someone who just takes care of his woman. You
Oh,
see where we at? You see where we
yeah.
at? And we
Uh-huh.
had a 15-minute discussion about that, where these two guys was like, no, no, no. If my woman determines me as a man of means, then I'm a
Ah!
man of means. I said, no, wait. Can we go to the dictionary? Can we look? It's upscale man who is wealthy, and you're creating systems and you're going against the, it's not just maintaining, but this is where I think the weakness of the black male has gotten
Mhm.
for women valuing his penis more than his mental power to compete.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. I mean, like, I have nothing to say against it because I am in alignment with that thought. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly. Um, I feel the exact same way.
Well, let me get out of here. I got to run over to work. So, but I appreciate our time.
No
Again,
problem. I'm sorry that I was late because this was definitely a
yeah,
good
you know, we
conversation.
got 30 minutes of you, but
Yeah,
it's all
we
good.
gonna have to do it again.
If you be on time.
Yeah, I promise. I promise I'll be on time. I'll set my alarm next time.
But yeah, I wanted to get a the reason why I wanted to have C Rose over here because again, I think they try to include everybody. I don't, but they
Mhm.
try to include everybody. but I think it allows the discussions. People who don't have the ability to bring forth good information and good experiences, they
Mm-hmm.
shout down what other
Mm-hmm.
people are saying. And I never got a chance to really hear C. Rose because I only get 5-second sound bites or
Right, right, right.
15-second sound bites. And then here's a grown man yelling, trying to
Mm-hmm.
stop her from talking, or which I don't like the personal tax. You see, Rose, see what you don't understand. It no, just put your theory out so we
Right, right,
understand
right,
what
right,
your
right.
source and what your info. Well, I've never seen that. Well, you've never seen. Oh my God, it's like.
I agree. We do our thoughts get drowned out a lot because it's generally all mostly male panels. So yeah, I agree, and we that's
And
something we
that's
need
the
to
other
talk about.
thing, the fact that it's men
Hmm.
who. That's why I say I would love to get some of these dudes on a college stage and tape the behavior,
Hmm.
because you should be able to compete against other people. And then if you're speaking with women, white women, Filipino women, why do you get so agitated just because someone doesn't want to acknowledge your point?
Hmm.
It's how is that warrior behavior? I don't get it. But thank you so much for coming on. I wanted the people to hear your
Thank
brain.
you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
All right, I'm out of here. You guys got to get to
Have a
work.
good day at work.
Peace.
Bye bye.